Listen, a lot of y'all may be asking me, hey, when are you going to stop talking about bullying in our schools and start focusing on real issues in real life? It's simple, Billy, because let me get two answers. First, it's first of all, it's one of the reasons why I created Stop Bullying Speak Up on Facebook. And second, I will stop talking about this when school districts around the world, in this country and other countries, start taking it very seriously, abiding by laws, abiding by city ordinances, and saying to themselves, hey, we've got to step up to the plate and make sure this happen again. And I had them come together and say to themselves, okay, how do we do this? What's the problem here? How can we fix it? And how can we solve it? Imagine as a parent that you're upset that your child was being bullied. So you go to the school district, you go to the principal, and you tell them what's going on. A day later, that happens. Then you go, and a week, a month, a year goes by. You go directly to the superintendent, and you tell them exactly what's going on. The counselor does nothing. The principal does nothing. The superintendent does nothing. He said, "I'll call you." Then the superintendent never calls. Then you decide to take it all the way to the school board and address that issue. Then the school board does nothing about it. And then you post about your you being upset about what's going on social media. Other parents chime in saying the same thing. It's what's happening in Kirkwood. Lots of parents in that community are up in arms, and tonight you'll hear these allegations from these kids. Not from the kids exactly, but what these parents are saying. Here's Justine Cornell.
She messaged us like every day saying how scared she is to go to school and be in class. She begs not to go.
Winnie Rickard's stepdaughter is a fifth grader at Robinson Elementary in Kirkwood. Rickard and other parents say a classmate has terrorized their children with physical attacks, threats, even sexual harassment. She says the child hit her stepdaughter and she has paperwork showing it's been going on for years.
A continued pattern of escalating violent behavior.
Rickard believes the school district has failed to uphold safety.
Parents weren't notified that their children were threatened. They weren't notified that they were sexually harassed.
This week, more than a dozen parents spoke or submitted comments during the Kirkwood School Board meeting. They're frustrated that they haven't received more information, but Education Plus, an organization that works with multiple schools in the area, say federal law can play a role.
When something happens and people get upset about it, they want to know everything. And the reality is school districts can't share everything because of the privacy rights of students.
Winnie Rickard said that many parents just want to reduce risk and those threats by having accountability and more policy changes.
And a lot of these things that are happening, like the sexually explicit content that was sent in these text messages to this group of girls in particular, is shocking. And it is not reflected in policy exact repercussions for actions like this, and that needs to be addressed.
Rickard believes the little boy was also failed, but she wants to protect by being preventative.
My fear is that this will eventually escalate to where we have that kind of setting in our school, and it's going to be another tragedy where people are asking questions and we have the answers.
Justina Cornell, 5 on Your Side.
The Kirkwood School District sent 5 on Your Side a statement. It reads in part, "It would be in violation of the policies meant to protect student privacy, as well as state and federal law, to directly address the information from the public comment period. If families or students report concerns about student safety, we take it very seriously and are sure to involve our counseling team, safety and security team, and student services team as appropriate."
Okay, let me throw in a common sense in here. Student safety, we take it very seriously. Student safety, you should be taking bullying very seriously as well as safety of the child. I mean, pick my cards back up. The thing you have to understand is when your child goes to school, you say your child is as a school district, when a child steps foot in your school, you are responsible. You're responsible from the time school starts to the time school ends, or until they step foot in that school bus. After they step foot in that school bus and get straight home, you're responsible until that time. If I got to quote that video from back in 2019, whatever, of these two parents that complained they went straight to the principal, it's exactly right. School districts need to be held accountable. There shouldn't be federal law prohibiting the student's safety. There needs to be policies. Not federal, not state laws, but city ordinances and or policies. Now, if you violate policies, disciplinary action can be enforced. Not federal law, not state laws. Policies. So you might be saying, oh, do we need to get rid of that policy? Get rid of that law? Yes, we do. No. I'm not saying yes. What I am saying here is make it to where students under 18, if the child's under 18, you don't need to disclose information. If the child's 18 or over, then you can address that information. But parents want answers. And for the school districts on have been saying, we can't explain anything because maybe violating the law. What law are you talking about? You read statements, they say, sorry, we won't do it again, we take it very seriously. Start taking bullying very seriously, and maybe then I'll stop talking about it, and maybe we'll move on with our lives. And maybe then we'll have any medical miracles, like in this next story. This next story we're going to talk about is just all about the medical miracles that goes against all odds. Even if when you're in surgery, you're going to meet a woman who was in surgery and will go against all odds. Stay with us. I'm about to introduce you two women. One who's having surgery conscious. The other who would go against all odds to complete the surgery while this other person is awake. Tonight, you're going to see hope, prayer, and grace that these two women are going to experience. Would prayer work against all odds, or would grace work against all odds? Here's Keith Morrison.
I'm feeling fine. I wish I had a few hours sleep, but other than that, I'm fine.
This is the UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles, California. The woman you're going to meet here is about to undergo rare and dangerous brain surgery. She will do so while fully awake. Her name is Carol Treadwell. She is about to get involved in cutting-edge medicine, which could one day lead to a cure for brain cancer. But it's more than that. Along the way, she'll show us how to face almost anything. Carol Treadwell was living a life many would envy.
I'm 40.
She was financially secure, was raising 3 healthy young kids, had a marriage anyone could see was practically blissful. Carol met soulmate Meade Treadwell in 1982 while planning a millennium party in Egypt nearly 20 years in advance. At the time, Carol was working in public relations in Manhattan. Meade was an entrepreneur.
It was a group of us in college who said, let's do the party of the century at the pyramids. And so I went to this press conference on the QE2, and Carol had set it up.
So I had to have everybody's name, and I'm convinced if it was Meade Treadwell Chicago or Meade Treadwell LA or name another part of the country, I would have just not paid as much attention to him. But it was Meade Treadwell from Anchorage, Alaska.
Happy birthday. And by the time the year 2000 rolled around, Carol and Meade had been married for 10 years and had 3 children. They lived amid the rugged beauty of Anchorage, Alaska, and traveled often. People around them marveled at how happy they seemed to be. They laughed a lot. And just like they promised each other back at the beginning, they celebrated the millennium at the pyramids. And then, 7 months later, in July of 2000, back home in Alaska at 4:30 in the morning, Meade woke up suddenly disturbed by something, and he looked at his wife.
I was scared to death. Her eyes were open, and every muscle in her body was twitching or moving or shaking.
He tried to wake her and couldn't. He tried to hold his panic in check. He called 911. At the hospital, Carol was taken for a CAT scan.
Then I saw 2 doctors racing down the hall, and they said, she's having another one.
Another seizure, as bad as the last. Meade was terrified. The minutes seemed to last for hours as he waited for word from the doctors, and what they told him was shocking. Meade went to Carol, who was heavily sedated.
I was on major drugs. So even when Meade told me I had brain cancer, I was like, no, I don't. I check my breasts all the time. And he goes, no, you don't have breast cancer. You have a brain tumor. So in a way, that was, I think, good, because I personally didn't know what was going on. I really didn't.
Until that morning, Carol had felt like a perfectly healthy woman, and now she suddenly discovered she was one of 17,000 Americans suffering from primary brain tumors. Just unlucky. 4 days later, Carol and Meade flew to Minnesota to the Mayo Clinic, where a biopsy revealed she had a grade 2 tumor deep inside her brain, grade 1 being the least serious form of brain cancer, and grade 4 the most aggressive. The treatment was a combination of radiation and chemotherapy. Months passed, then more than a year. And then, fighting back nerves, she submitted to another brain scan and waited to hear her fate.
Everything looks great. The tumor looks like it's stopped growing, and it has since last March. This was in December.
How does that feel?
Oh, I was psyched. I was like, well, what do I do now? And they go, well, why don't you just go live life? And I'm like, just go live life? The news couldn't have been better. It was perfect.
Go ahead now and live your life, the doctors told her, and so, relieved and grateful, Carol flew back home here to Alaska to do just that. But brain tumors take some watching, and 10 weeks after this new lease on life had begun, it was time for another brain scan. Carol and Meade flew to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota to hear the news together. It was this past February, Valentine's Day. When they showed her the scan, it took a moment to register. The tumor was back. It was bigger than ever.
It's the size of a walnut. It is that big. It's grown that big in 10 weeks. That's amazingly fast.
And then, as if it were possible, the news seemed to get worse. Carol's doctors told her the tumor was inoperable because it was so close to the part of the brain that controls speech. And they told her chemotherapy and radiation weren't good options either because she'd already done that. What could she do? Give up?
If it continues to grow at the rate it's been growing, it will eventually cause her, significant deficits because it's so close to her motor and speech areas.
But there was something. Someone, the Mayo Clinic told her she might try. A neurosurgeon at UCLA in Los Angeles, Dr. Linda Liao. Dr. Liao is an immunologist involved in cutting-edge studies of the treatment of brain cancer. Dr. Liao tells Carol because the tumor has fingers infiltrating the brain, it is impossible to remove it all. But there is one possibility, she says, a rare kind of surgery which could remove most of the tumor without damaging her speech, personality, and memory. And that would give other drugs or experimental treatments a fighting chance against the cancer. How risky is this?
It's pretty risky, and it's a risk that they have to be willing to take. And unfortunately for these types of tumors, a lot of times there aren't other options available.
There is, however, just one little catch. Throughout the operation, Carol will have to be awake. Because everyone's primary language center is not in the same place, doctors must first map the brain so they'll know which areas to avoid.
Different languages, and a person who's bilingual or trilingual, their different languages are in different areas of the brain.
That's amazing. You mean your French is here and maybe your English is over here, though?
Right. So we may take away French, but English will still be there.
Doctors already know that Carol's tumor is just millimeters from her primary language areas. So to make sure they won't damage her ability to speak, they'll have to do something that seems incomprehensible. Not only will they wake her up during the surgery, they'll ask her questions.
What I plan to do is to go in, obviously avoiding those areas, and to find a route to the main bulk of the tumor, and take out the tumor with her talking to our neurophysiologist and undergoing these language tests at the same time I resect the tumor.
It's kind of an obstacle course.
Yeah, it is.
And should be totally alert.
She should be, yes.
Some patients decline the surgery. saying being awake is just too much to endure.
They're either too claustrophobic or just not, not emotionally ready to be woken up in the middle of a surgery and have a surgeon, operating on your brain while you talk.
But Carol is all for it.
This surgery, this is fascinating. What they're going to do for me is, I think, incredible.
Even if the surgery is a success, Carol is told she may not be able to speak for several weeks after. Here's the reason. The place in your brain that forms thoughts is not in the same spot as the word-finding center. If Dr. Liao disturbs the pathways that join those centers, or if there's a lot of swelling, new pathways will grow, but that will take a while, about 3 weeks. But if things don't go well, and the word-finding center itself is damaged, Carol won't ever be able to speak.
What she won't be able to do is, for instance, if I showed her a pen, she would be able to, in her mind, know that it's a pen, but just not able to vocalize that.
Say the word pen.
Correct.
When Carol is told she may temporarily lose the ability to speak, she characteristically finds humor in it, the kind a busy mother might understand.
Sometimes I'm like, I can't wait, That's not really how I feel. I think it's going to be tough. 3 weeks is a long time not to be able to talk. And we have 3 small kids.
Carol flies directly from the Mayo Clinic to UCLA in Los Angeles. It falls to me to fly home and tell the kids, Natalie, who's 5, William, 7, and Timothy, 11, what's at stake and what may happen.
Here's what she wants you guys to know. 1, she loves you very much. 2, if she doesn't remember something exactly right, don't worry about it. And 3, just know that you kids need to be good kids, because we're fighting for Mom's life. And William, the first grader, said, "You mean brain tumors can kill you?"
Here, Meade has rejoined Carol in Los Angeles. As they talk to us, the surgery is 1 day away. Carol and Meade are anxious, but they also have something else which could be life-saving. What is it? A determined and infectious optimism.
She's got 3 kids to raise, and a life to live, and we're not going to give up at all.
There's a lot of courage in there.
That's what it is. She's brave.
You still feel it now?
Optimistic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know how I could feel negative. I can't even imagine that. This is something that has potential.
What are your hopes and expectations afterwards?
Oh man, I hope I get better and this becomes a horrible nightmare.
Meade and Carol, devout Catholics, spend the evening before surgery in church, and then at dawn the next morning, walk to the hospital from their hotel nearby. Back home in Anchorage, the kids are off to school. They're being cared for by a nanny and family members.
To get the kids excited or, more involved than they need to be. Personally, I don't want to do that. I'd rather have this be something Mommy had to do.
Carol is prepped for surgery. Meade takes a minute with one of the surgeons. He sees something on a recent brain scan he hasn't seen before.
I don't think this showed up at all.
That's right.
Okay.
That is the new,
Yeah.
the extension of the mask.
That anyway gave me a little bit of a startle.
But we're going to be sampling a section of that tissue and then we'll send it to pathology.
Meade, for a moment, excuses himself, tries to compose his face, to hide his worry, and then it's time. The surgery about to begin is rare and dangerous. Carol will have to endure it, and she'll have to be awake. When it's over, she'll learn what she's up against, but she doesn't know if afterwards she'll be able to talk or write, or even if she'll seem like the same person. But in spite of the risks, Carol is determined to go ahead with the incredible surgery.
And she'll go ahead with the incredible surgery. When we return, you're going to see the whole operation being done while she's awake. Is she about to go against all odds? Stay with us.
When we return, the tension in the operating room as Carol is tested before the surgery begins.
What is that? Not a swordfish, but
she's missing every time we stimulate her.
How will this complex and radical operation affect her when Against All Odds continues?
Don't go away. Return on to our story. One woman is about to go into a rare surgery, brain surgery that requires her to stay awake. Now, this has never been seen before on television, on YouTube for the very first time on this broadcast. And for the very first time, you will witness what goes on during that time. Will she overcome against all odds? Here again is Keith Morrison.
Just weeks ago, Carol Treadwell was still celebrating the apparent victory over the tumor in her head. And now, UCLA's Dr. Linda Liao finds herself looking at a difficult challenge.
So what we're going to do is start off by mapping that.
But Dr. Liao has already told Carol that this operation, no matter what else it may accomplish, is likely to cause a strange and frightening reaction. For several weeks after the surgery, Carol is told, she may lose the ability to speak. That's because no matter how carefully Dr. Liao avoids the speech center in Carol's brain, any disruption could have an effect, and Carol may find herself unable to find the words for simple objects or concepts. Now, while Carol is prepped for the long surgery ahead, surgeons take another look at the beast they're up against.
And then, just come in anterior to it. Anterior and lower, take out this whole area right there.
Carol and the surgeons have allowed us complete access to observe the remarkable procedure. Carol is sleeping comfortably on the table as the procedure begins. The first thing Dr. Liao does is match Carol's head to the 3D scan of her brain to help guide them through the delicate surgery.
So you can see where the tumor is relative to the pointer.
With that done, it's time to begin. Doctors must cut through Carol's skull, then the dura, the membrane that covers the brain. Now, that procedure complete, the operation takes on a character that feels like it's right out of science fiction. Carol is awakened.
Yeah, you're doing great, all right? You're in the operating room. I'm going to take this out of your mouth. Open your mouth wide.
This is only possible because there are no pain receptors in the brain.
Nice deep breath, Carol. In and out.
Here she is, her brain fully exposed, talking.
Can you tell me what kind of an animal barks?
A dog.
A dog, okay. And what kind of animal goes meow? Okay. Aren't you ready?
But there's a problem. Carol is feeling a lot of pain near an eye, where doctors have ejected local anesthetic. They increase the dose, trying at the same time to keep her alert. And now begins a crucial stage of the operation. Before anything else is done, Dr. Liao will build a thorough map of Carol's brain so she can get at the tumor without damaging brain function. How do you make a brain map? Dr. Liao stimulates different areas of Carol's brain with electricity, while Dr. Susan Buchheimer, a brain mapping expert, asks Carol some simple questions.
What is it? I forget. It's a spoon.
It's a spoon, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be testing her language. And if we notice any language changes while the electricity is on in comparison to when the electricity is off, then we'll note that area of the brain where the probe is as being a significant language area.
So what do you call a yellow kernel vegetable?
Dr. Buchheimer uses a stack of flashcards to test Carol's speech.
And they're all organized by difficulty and by how many syllables are involved. So these are some difficult items that are multisyllabic, like the comet. And I have antlers, and the items are organized so that some of them are living things and some of them are non-living things because they are organized somewhat differently in the brain.
What do you call a teacher's red fruit? Apple. Good. And what do you call a Thanksgiving main course? Turkey. Very good. Okay, I think she's ready, Susan.
The doctors watch carefully for any slip in the answers Carol gives them. As they try to locate key language areas, it's these cues from Carol that will warn them when they get too close.
What is it?
It's a volcano.
Okay, not a volcano. What is it?
Okay. She's missing every time we stimulate her. We're going to probably stimulate along this area because that's where I'm going to go in.
Okay, sounds good.
She is completely alert and responding well to questions, even ours.
You're doing so well. I mean, it's incredible. It's wonderful to see how well this is going. Okay? I'm about to go and call me. Can I pass a message along?
Just on my bottom.
Okay.
I'm doing great.
Dr. Liao places labels on Carol's brain as Dr. Buchheimer tests her. It's apparent that the tumor is very close to the key speech area of the brain called Broca's. The doctors talk constantly about where they are and where they should go.
Well, her tumor speaks to that, and I guess if I stay superior, can I take that out?
There's a spelling error area that's pretty important because she probably doesn't want to have that happen.
Okay, Carol, you did wonderfully, okay? I'm going to start taking out the tumor now.
Slowly, carefully, Dr. Liao cuts away at the cancer growing in Carol's brain. All the while, Dr. Buchheimer continues to quiz her, helping to guide surgeons away from the areas that could cause permanent damage. They're working just millimeters from key language areas.
What do you call the things people write with? Yeah. What do you call the first meal in the morning? Breakfast. Okay, you're doing fantastic.
Carol is talking the entire time doctors are removing pieces of tumor from her brain. The tumor is sent to pathology for an early diagnosis of a frozen section, while surgeons continue the intricate procedure.
Okay, what is this guy called? Oh gosh, my son has a million of those. I don't remember.
Then she begins having difficulty with words. Doctors know they're getting too close to her crucial language center and don't remove that tissue.
An elf, no. It's called an eagle. An eagle, very good.
And then a phone call to the operating room from pathology. The early diagnosis is in. Has Carol's cancer progressed from a grade 2 tumor to a more serious form of cancer? A nurse writes down the diagnosis so Carol won't hear it in the middle of her surgery. She shows the test results to Dr. Liao. Finally, 8 hours later, the surgeons have removed as much tumor as they feel is safe. They've removed all of the bright white area, which surgeons call the contrast-enhancing area, the area they believe is the most virulent part of the tumor.
Okay, I think we're done. Oh my God. So we can put her back to sleep.
Carol, you are such a star. You did so fantastic. You got the whole thing gone, so go back to sleep, okay?
Good night, Carol. I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice deep breath for me.
Unconscious under anesthesia.
Now surgeons close Carol's wound. But before they even wheel her out of the operating room, they wake her up again.
Caroline, can you open your eyes for me? Good. Can you squeeze my hand over here? Squeeze tight, good.
Dr. Liao goes to Meade, who's been waiting anxiously to hear about his wife. This news is not easy to tell.
So far, at present diagnosis, it is a malignant glioma. But I think we've got the majority, if not all of it out, and we just have to wait and see.
The more thorough diagnosis will not be ready for a few days now. Meade had already been expecting to hear that. Right now, he's relieved that Carol has endured the surgery.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the results of the surgery, and I think what we need to deal with now is the diagnosis, and then, because as you know, if it is a malignant tumor, we need further treatment.
I've heard all the bad numbers. We want to be able,
The surgery is behind her, but Carol's ordeal is far from over. Though Carol spoke to doctors in the operating room, no one knows if she'll be able to speak once she's out of recovery. And no one knows what story that final diagnosis will tell.
When we come back, will Carol speak? And if not, what's going to happen then? Stay with us.
When we come back, what more will Carol have to face after this risky surgery?
I'm just going to ask you a few more questions, okay?
But will Carol be able to answer? And what else will Dr. Liao have to tell her when Against All Odds continues?
Don't go away. Carol has just come out of a brain surgery operation. But will she be able to speak? It's up to the doctors. It's up to the doctors now as they quiz her while she's talking. Again, Keith Morrison.
Your operation's over. You've done really well, okay?
Carol Treadwell has just endured 8 hours of brain surgery. Even if everything went well, she'd been warned that afterwards she'd likely be unable to speak, perhaps for weeks. And yet, here she is, Less than an hour after surgery, awake, alert, and talking.
I have to tell you, I can't believe I can talk.
Huh?
I can't believe I can talk.
Well, I'm very happy that you can talk. And to be honest, given the location of the tumor, I'm a little surprised that you're talking as well.
Carol is lucid and speaking as clearly as she was before the tumor deep inside her brain was removed.
How much tumor?
I think I got all of it out, at least all that we can see, for the majority of it out. Remember that this type of tumor has little infiltrating fingers, so, theoretically you can never get all of that out. But as far as that bulk of tumor that we talked about, the contrast enhancing area, I think I got the majority, if not all of that out.
That is that's great. Thank you very much.
Carol, thrilled to be speaking, happy to hear the surgery was a success, doesn't know yet what's ahead for her.
Hi.
But then, a week after the surgery, there's a meeting with Dr. Liao. They're about to get Carol's diagnosis, the results of the more thorough tests conducted on the tissue in Carol's brain. They've had 7 days to ponder the possibilities and pray for the best. And now, the moment has come.
As far as the pathology, the diagnosis was a glioblastoma. So it was a grade 4.
Wow.
Carol's tumor is a glioblastoma, grade 4 cancer, the most aggressive kind.
In retrospect, it was a very good thing that we did surgery, because this was potentially could have been a very rapidly progressing tumor if we left it in. So that's good, but it's unfortunately not a good diagnosis. But it does qualify you for certain clinical trials if you want to go that route. I know. It's not. It's not.
But didn't you get so much out of it?
Yes. But even if you get everything out on an MRI scan, these tumors tend to come back.
There is, however, one more thing they can pin their hopes on. Dr. Liao explains to Carol and Meade that Carol may now qualify for an experimental vaccine Dr. Liao has developed. Ironically, Carol would not qualify had her tumor been less deadly. It's offered only to patients who have the most aggressive tumors, the kind they label grade 4. The clinical trials for Dr. Liao's vaccine have been underway for just under 3 years. So far, 4 of the first 6 patients who received the vaccine are still doing well 2 years after their diagnoses. A small sample, but promising results for this most deadly type of cancer.
I'm hoping this immunotherapy trial will work for you. I believe in it, but I obviously have a biased opinion.
No, I don't know if I'm just not getting it straight or something, but I don't necessarily look at it as that much different than what it was yesterday. I mean, I look at it as I have a serious problem that I need to solve. I don't know, what I'm missing.
I don't think you are. I think you have a great attitude. I just wanted to be as straightforward with you as possible as to the diagnosis and what the statistics are. I don't think we need to reiterate that, but I really think you'll beat the statistics. I think you have great.
That's my plan.
Carol has asked her doctors, Meade and us, not to tell her what those statistics are. She doesn't want to hear it, or limit her recovery with low expectations. Since it will take time to see if Carol's cells will grow in Dr. Liao's lab, Carol and Meade plan to go home and see their children.
Take care. Have a good trip back, okay?
And consider all the options Carol has, including other experimental treatments around the country.
But be happier.
I'm sorry.
No, life could be worse.
Here was the patient, after all she'd been through, and the bad news she just heard, cheering up the doctor.
Carol had been hoping at least it would say a grade 3 rather than grade 4. But then, we just took this approach. We've got, we're young parents, we've got wonderful kids, and we don't have time to be sad. Why take the time you've got to be sad as much as to be working like the devil to beat this disease and to enjoy the time you've got.
And waking you up last night?
Carol is happy to be home, to see her kids. She hasn't seen them in 2 weeks. It's Mead's birthday. The children have made cards, a poster.
I love Mom. Oh.
And while Carol was away, 5-year-old Natalie was visited by the tooth fairy.
Oh my gosh, you've got a tooth come in already.
Uh-huh.
Alright.
It's a grown-up tooth.
Meanwhile, the doctor is growing cells from Carol's tumor to make the vaccine. But there's no guarantee the cells will develop, and even if they do, getting enough cells could take 2 months. Then, when Carol returns to UCLA for tests, she learns that the tumor has grown back in just 6 weeks since surgery. The experimental vaccine is now more important than ever.
It's frustrating, Do I wish that it hadn't grown? Oh, of course. I mean, my heart is broken right now.
Now she'll need another surgery to remove as much tumor as possible in order to give the vaccine a chance to work. This time, she won't be awakened. The tumor is not as close to her primary language area as it was the last time.
Is this what I want to be doing today? Absolutely not. Am I going to do it well? I'm going to do it as well as I can, and I'm going to get better.
In a 6-hour-long procedure, Dr. Liao works carefully to remove the new tumor.
So, yeah, it's just lump right in there.
The surgery goes well, and Dr. Liao is able to remove most of the new growth. The tumor is even more aggressive than the last one.
Having to tell patients and their families the diagnosis of a deadly brain cancer is definitely the most difficult part of my job.
And now, Dr. Liao must have another difficult conversation with Mead.
The frozen section diagnosis on both areas was consistent with glioblastoma.
Mead has been expecting this. Still, it's very hard.
I wish I had something proven, something saying, we can cure her.
Well, we're going to put up with the uncertainty if you guys can help us keep fighting.
Fighting cancer is a personal mission for Dr. Liao. It's how her mother died. It is the reason she does this. It's the reason she's here.
These people they're real people, they're not just subjects that, in a study per se. You actually get to know them, you get to know their lives, and it's sad.
But Dr. Liao is not giving up, and neither are Carol and Mead. They plan to fight the cancer with everything they've got, and Carol's remarkably positive attitude will only help.
But will she have that positive attitude throughout the 6-hour surgery? Coming up, well, you're going to witness more of that 6-hour. You're going to witness the second surgery and the prayer of a medical miracle against all odds. Stay with us. Now the conclusion to our story. Carol has just survived an operation. Weeks ahead. Now through a 6-hour operation, and she's about to go through a second operation. But remember, this time she's going to be, for the first one she had to be awake. The second time, for the second one, she had to be unconscious for this one. But the doctor is developing a vaccine that could really help get rid of that tumor. But will it work? Here with the conclusion to our story, Keith Morrison.
Carol and Mead have chosen to rest their hopes on Dr. Liao's experimental vaccine. It's all they have now. That and their religious faith, which in spite of things seems as strong as ever. Dr. Liao has been growing cells from Carol's brain tumor in her lab, hoping they'll multiply enough to make a vaccine powerful enough to fight the tumor.
tumors are foreign. They're different from normal tissue, for instance, normal brain. So there should be a way to induce your immune system to fight these tumors.
It's a long shot, but Carol has run out of options. And now, something else. One morning soon after her surgery, she tried to speak and couldn't find the words.
How can I figure this out? This is what's so frustrating.
It's the words.
It's the words, but in my head, I understand the words, but I don't know how to understand
To find them and get them.
Yeah, oh, it drives me nuts.
Carol knows exactly what she's thinking, but can't say it.
Is it as if you are trying to communicate in a language you used to speak but had forgotten? I don't.
Yeah, I know those words.
Of course.
You know, and it's horrible to try to figure out, you know, the risking words.
Yeah.
But I have to, you know, because you don't understand it, you know.
Yeah.
But then, you know, usually I get it, you know.
Right.
It just takes longer.
But as frustrating as it can be, Carol manages somehow to find humor. Meade says sometimes Carol is even poetic, like the time he told her to eat a pickle.
She couldn't say to me right off, you know, I'm not going to eat this pickle, but she said, in the theater of my life, this pickle has no role.
You're right.
There are times, of course, when it's heartbreaking, like this time, when Carol is working with a speech therapist.
What are your children's names?
Of course, Carol knows her children's names. She just can't make the connection between the place in her brain where she thinks their names and the other place whose job it is to tell her how to say the names.
Well, I know I do remember your daughters.
Yes. Natalie.
Very
Yeah.
good. Natalie and I'm sorry, but I don't remember the two boys.
I want to say Billy, and it's not Billy, it's Bob.
Does it start with a B?
No, it starts
No.
with a W. William.
Okay, it's William.
Yeah.
And who's the third?
I forgot it.
You didn't forget it. You just can't find the name.
Dr. Liao says Carol's tumor is pressing on the word-finding center of her brain, which means the pressure is on to start her on that vaccine. But first, her own cells will have to multiply in the lab. She'll need 10 million cells to create the vaccine. And so, they wait.
This is really her last shot.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. We don't have a whole lot of other options for her right now.
Then, finally, 6 weeks after her last surgery, Carol gets some good news for a change. The vaccine is ready.
You were saying when you first came in here a couple of minutes ago that you were nervous, but nervous in a how?
Oh, in a positive way?
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. And that, see, nobody's, what's the right word? Nobody's made you the one, you know, and I am the one, you know, in that I'm going to help people.
Of course, she wants the vaccine to make her better, but it's more than that. Carol is thrilled to be a part of cutting-edge medicine.
I have good news for you. We were able to get 10 million cells for each injection.
Yay.
So your cells look great. I just looked at them this morning, and you know, everything should go well, and hopefully, you know, hopefully it'll help somewhere.
Say it more positively.
Well, I'm a little hesitant because, as you know, this is experimental, and I can't say that for sure. And you know, this is, you know, a trial, but it's a tough disease to treat.
Well, I know it is.
But she's grateful she feels well, doesn't spend more than a moment feeling frustrated or angry. And as for feeling sorry for herself, never. And now it's time. Carol gets the injection she's putting all her hopes into. It's delivered directly into her lymph nodes under her arm, where Dr. Liao hopes they'll travel quickly to the cancer.
That's it.
That's it.
Carol will need to stay in Los Angeles for several more weeks to receive 2 more shots. She's also taking tamoxifen, a cancer drug normally used to treat breast cancer.
I just want to thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really want to thank you. Oh.
And the difference here.
She will also have more brain scans to track her progress. It's too early yet to know whether the vaccine is working, but this scan reveals both good news and not so good news. Dr. Clausey explains the results to Carol and Meade.
There's a lot of contrast in there, but it's basically no change.
There on the scan is evidence of what could someday lead to a breakthrough in the treatment of brain cancer. Something, perhaps the vaccine, has succeeded in preventing regrowth of the original tumor. This could be very important in the fight against cancer, but on the very same page, in another area where surgery would be impossibly damaging, the cancer is spreading. This seemingly unaffected by the vaccine. Dr. Liao believes this is because the vaccine was made with cells from the original tumor, making it more effective at fighting that one. Now, veterans of the management of bad news, Meade and Carol decide to try other drugs in addition to the experimental vaccine, knowing that all they can do now is wait and hope and live every minute they have. But not to give up. Not ever. 2 years ago, her life suddenly changed. She's endured radiation, chemotherapy, 2 major brain surgeries, an experimental vaccine, months away from home and family. With Meade at her side all along, they've tried what they feel are the very best medical treatments known to man. And yet, every single day is a battle to survive.
What's it a picture of?
I don't know yet.
I've told them more than once how it amazed me, their refusal to give up, their cheerfulness in the face of such trouble. And this time when I said it, Meade seemed to have been thinking the same thing about Carol.
This is a wonderful woman, and we've had so many great adventures together, and the adventure of playing house and having wonderful children and doing cool things in the world. And has the Lord blessed us with every minute of life that we've had, even tough times and everything else? Absolutely. Carol's life, our life, is in God's hands.
In the catalog of unfair things, brain cancer ranks very high, an enemy that strikes without apparent cause or warning. And so, it helps to know that in the battle against it is a soldier named Carol Treadwell of Anchorage, Alaska. If you had to do this again, would you do it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. That I can swear to.
Does it make you feel like a pioneer going through this stuff?
Sure.
Well, I mean, God, maybe you do it.
I know. And that's the thing. And that's beautiful.
Carol Treadwell is home now, surrounded by family and friends. If you'd like to read Meade Treadwell's account of his wife's courageous journey, or find out more about Dr. Liao's clinical trial, you can log on to our website. The address is dateline.msnbc.com.
That's all for this edition of Dateline.
What a remarkable story to tell throughout this hour. Believe me, a lot of stories we focused in on were heartbroken. Like I said before, when I first started doing the show 7 years ago, I wanted to just focus on issues that were all around the world. But it's more than just around the world and in your home. It's the stories that touch your life, that'll make you happy, make you laugh, make you cry, and will make you very angry. It's all in the feelings. But this story really takes the cake with how you feel inside. We'll be right back. Before we do tonight's viral
A landmark operation to restore their vision. Is it even possible?
What if it doesn't work? I look at it the other way. What if it does work? Let me have the lens fragmenter.
Two teams of brothers bound in a daring test of science and hope.
I may wake up and see a whole new world.
How far would they go? How much would they risk?
Oh, boy. I think it scares you a little bit.
Together, they lost their sight. Together, could they get it back? Dateline is there for the moment of truth.
What do we have right up here?
Rob Stafford with Vision Quest.
Vision Quest. That's Monday. 4 brothers. 2 go into surgery and 2 eye surgeons. You don't want to miss this one. A great medical survival story, unlike any story like you could ever imagine. And you can't ever imagine putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Okay. This video right here I'm about to show you from Desi Banks really got my attention. I mean, if you really look at this, when we do viral break, it just makes you want to laugh. But really, in school, ISS means in school suspension. What this person did, what happened to this person right here, in school suspension, I mean in school suspension, it means I slapped the shit out of y'all ass. Take a look.
I'm gonna whoop your ass. If you do, I'm gonna whoop your ass. Hey, what the hell y'all doing? Why y'all in the glass? You, come here. Come here. You ain't wanna come in here? You ain't wanna come in here? That's y'all goddamn problem. Y'all on the football team. If I don't call that coach right now, then what we gonna do? You get y'all ass in that classroom before you come in here with me. Now, you know how shit go down in here. Yeah, trying to. All right, quiet down. Ain't no need for y'all to be saying shit. No beating on the table. No sleeping in my class. No phones. No trash. Cut that shit off. Cut it off. All right. As you know, I'm Mr. B. Nothing to be fucked with. But this class is I. S. F. Do any of y'all know what that stands for? Do any of y'all know what that means? In schools? No! It stands for I. That's me. Slap! The shit out of all y'all fuck right on and fuck me. I'm the wrong one to fuck with. Call your daddy. I'll beat the shit out of your daddy. All right, this is what we gonna do. My rule. My house. Y'all listen what the fuck I got to say. I know your teacher probably gave y'all an assignment or whatever y'all got to do for do the shit. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm gonna be over here. If I hear anything, you don't want to know what's gonna happen my head, so. Demons and shit? What is this? Demons and shit. I don't want this. Stop fucking with me. Crazy as hell. Hey, white boy. Leave me alone. White boy. White boy. I'm sorry, Mr. B. I'm sorry. Man, that white boy crazy as hell. That's the wrong one to fuck with. You fuck everybody up in this goddamn room. Get the goddamn mouth! I'll flip this goddamn room all over the goddamn place. You think that nigga fried on you? Goddamn crazy. Don't say another goddamn word. If I hear anything else, I'm going back.
Watch. Who gonna whoop your ass? Watch. Fucking improve. Watch.
Shut up!
Where Miss Jones at?
Where your mom at?
She at home.
What old are you?
17.
17 going on 40.
That's
Real old as hell. Yeah. GD is over. Go buy the job. Sorry, you can't get one.
Mr. Big.
What, boy?
Why look like you trip over a nursery home? Mr. Big. Why look like you sell mustache weaves? Hey, Mr. Big. You got a gout?
What the fuck was that? That supposed to have been funny. See, you like to tell jokes and crack jokes and, you know. He's funny.
Yeah, sure.
What else you like to crack? Huh? Smart ass. That boy scared the shit out of you, didn't it? But I got to give you, since you so smart, I'll give you $20 if you can read one page in this book. I know you can. You can pick page up.
I'll go one page. Shut up, man. Really? Let me ask your old ass.
Huh? There you go.
Marco, you can do it. Sound it out.
What time to start the call, man?
Hey, man, come on, man. Son.
What time is the buzzer?
Okay, read. The same reason your mom always down by the corner by the laundromat. Life hard, ain't it?
Which one you talking about? Going down on Morgan? How about a saw a few times now? Your mom is old. Come here. Please shut up. Please close your mouth. Oh, please close your mouth. God damn it! Now, is your ass low, son? Get your big ass on down that hallway before you come in here with me. Dancing this shit. Who the fuck is my man? That's y'all goddamn problem. Play too damn much. What the hell is this? Throwing paper balls and shit. Mr. B. Look like he be on the back page. Mr. B. Look like a youth pastor. Mr. B. Look like he put dick in all your mamas. And I got plenty of it too. All right, I need my dead nigga right now. Dead nigga. Oh, get it.
Don't be like these people go to ISS. Maybe then you won't be able to end up on this broadcast. That's all for this edition of Gaming Break Saturday going to Sunday. We'll see you for a special Gaming Break Monday. Vision Quest. Good night.